Yes, Haro, habari ya siku. I really appreciate for your presence here. Yeah, thank you. I know I've not been here for a while, but I have just decided to do a small podcast today to discuss some of the things which are happening in our country, and also to describe how the 2027 election is going to be and how the narrative is going to shape up, because we need to be keen on how the 2027 narrative is going to shape up. For your information, and maybe to confirm to you, going, hi Bwana Ubuntu, hi Ubuntu, sorry, let me not say Bwana or Mrs. Sorry, hi Ubuntu. Going by what is happening is that there is now a clear indication that Bwana William Ruto will be a one-term president. And I think that people will be running to the bank and running everywhere to prove that it is possible to produce a one-term presidency in Kenya. And Mr. William Ruto will become the first casualty of a one-term presidency. He might think of how to steal the election or to do other shenanigans. But if you look at the panic which Mr. William Ruto has in his team, you can really understand that Mr. William Ruto has no capacity to produce a second term. And I will explain here, and I will try to explain why Mr. Ruto has a uphill task, regardless of what is happening. For your information, for the first time, I don't think so. There will be a lot of devastation. You see, there is now insult to the injuries. You see, Mr. William Ruto has not been doing anything in Kenya. And much of the issues which people have been seeing happening slightly have been done by international agencies. You can now imagine Mr. William Ruto has not been doing anything, and now the international agencies have now been crippled. So for the next 2 years or 3 years in Kenya, you will not be able to see anything in Kenya. Why? Because number one, agencies like USAID, they will no longer be agencies again. I don't think USAID has capacity now to work in Africa or even to do anything in Kenya. So you can imagine some of the works which USAID has been doing in Kenya, regardless of the corruption which has been reported in America, that USAID has been doing corruption, but there have been tiny issues which they have been handling in our economy. Now, William Ruto is not doing anything. And then the donor fund has been withdrawn, total calamities. And that is why there will be a lot of issues in our country. And those are the things now which are accelerating towards ousting Bwana William Ruto from power. That's where now the acceleration is. Then, this is how the narrative of 2027 is forming. And I want us to agree on this. 2022, Mr. William Ruto came into power using the hustler narrative. Now, the hustler narrative cannot be the narrative now. Now, the narrative is now, every election is usually an election and an issue policy. So, and there is always a key issue which takes up the election. So 2027 is forming to be an election of payslip. And I want people to understand this very well. 2027 is forming to be an election of payslip. Wages is an election of wages. And that election of wages is actually what is going to detonate Ruto. And that's where the key is. And I wanted us at least to understand why this issue of payslip and wages is going to detonate Ruto. Why? Number one, people are slowly getting convinced, or are being convinced, if I use that word. People are being convinced that you work and there's no dignity of work, or you work, you get money, the money does not serve you. You earn 500 shillings, you use 400 on expenses, and the 100, or you use everything on expenses, meaning that your money does not help you to do anything. Another thing is you are a worker, you earn 50,000, your deductions are 60,000. That is what it is. That is what is happening. Another person, even, and this thing is now cutting across everybody who earns money, whether it is employed by the government, employed by the private sector, mtu ya mujengo, temporary, whoever you are. So the 2027 election is now turning to be a wages election. And that is how Mr. William Ruto will not be able to fight that narrative. And slowly you have been seeing that even Rigathi Gachagua has been able to craft that narrative very well. The narrative is now creeping in. So Kenyan election is not going to be an issue of haves and have-nots, like what was brought in 2022, haswa kila mtu waliona pesa na wale hawana. No, now the election is now turning to be people who are earning money and the money is not helping them. That is where the narrative is now, and that is where much of the purge is happening. And that is where now, because now this is a dialogue which is now affecting everybody. So, in other words, for the first time, there is a possibility that the middle class of Kenya could actually become a decisive portion of the electoral map which need to be looked at. Why? For a long time, the middle class has been not interested in politics. Why? Because middle class, they are those people who have been considered for longer ages. They have been considering themselves as the people who can feed themselves, they can educate their kids, they can do small stuff. Can that middle class do now? Now, the Kenyan middle class has now become poor. So, in other words, the middle class, through Mr. William Ruto, has become hustler. They are not people who can afford life. So, this is also another big group which will be having an issue with Mr. William Ruto, just as Rigathi Gachagua is putting it. And middle class, hi Lucy, karibuni sana, BT, Irongo, karibu sana. And don't think that the middle class of Kenya will allow another 5 years of devastation. You know, middle class is usually very lethal. Why? Because middle class is that person who is one step to poverty in a wrong government. If the government becomes wrong, as a middle class, you are one step to poverty. Who is a middle class? A middle class is that person who, if his job is not working well today, he will go to slums. So middle class are not stable. And those are the things which people need to understand. Middle class, when we describe that you are middle class, you are not stable. If what you are doing goes away, you are in poverty. That is what middle class is. And that is why the 2027 election is actually for the middle class of Kenya. The middle class of Kenya are the ones who will turn the knob. Remember, number one, hustlers are already dejected or they are frustrated. Washakasirika. So hustlers, you cannot even take any narrative to them. So now hustlers will only want to listen to a new narrative. And Mr. William Ruto cannot be able to talk to hustlers again. That's why I'm trying to convince you and to show you how Mr. William Ruto cannot get a second term. Even in steering, he cannot. So put that constant. Now, the hustlers are gone. And regardless of where they come from, it doesn't matter whether it is a hustler from Rift Valley, it's a hustler from Central, it's a hustler from Nyanza, it's a hustler from Western. Hustlers are affected the same way. So hustler is more of what is happening to your pocket and to your lifestyle than who you are. You need to understand that. That is why actually that narrative was used by Ruto to actually divide Kenya, because it polarized the nation, and the people methodologically were able to think more in lines of what I have in the pocket than thinking in the lines of I am a Kikuyu or a Luo. Now, hustlers are not going to respond to the election. Number one. So hustlers will go to the election without hope. Hustlers, up to now, is not that they trust Gachagua can come or whoever will come as a replacement for Ruto. They don't trust. They are injured. We need to understand that hustlers have been injured. Wameumizwa. Wameumizwa. Hustlers wameumizwa. So they lack trust now. Hustlers will no longer trust anyone. So hustlers will just go to the election as a routine with hope that they could vote somebody who will feel pity for them. Because remember, hustlers are those people who they feel they don't have strength, they are at the mercy of the people in the power, so they don't think they have power. Because number one, they have been cheated that the people with the power are the ones who own everything. That is why you can see those hustlers, they can still even be put by Oscar Sudi in a meeting somewhere in Moisbridge, and he will still abuse them and telling them that I can pay you everybody here 2,000, 2,000, and those people are listening. Those are the hustlers. They still believe that leaders are supernatural. That is the problem. So they will go to the election with frustration. So, and you cannot rely on them this time around. And I believe majority of the hustlers will abscond the election, or they will not go for the election. So they will just be saying that it doesn't matter, things will never change. But the middle class will not respond that way. The middle class will actually be running to the election because actually they have seen extreme devastation. They have seen extreme devastation from William Ruto. And I do not think there is any sensible middle class in Kenya who will be able to queue, regardless of where you come from, and you vote for William Ruto. I don't think, unless if that person amepagawa ama ana akili. I don't think there's any middle class, somebody who understands how money operates, anaweza ingia kwa laini na apigie Ruto kura. Wacha nisome comments as we continue. BT Rongo, jambo Jiro Maora, asante sana. Lucy, I believe there is a very few people in the middle class. The majority are in the lower class. I understand, Lucy, but remember those people who have gone to the lower class. You see, and also we also need to understand the middle class of Kenya is not the middle class of Europe. We have a difference. Even the middle class of China is not the middle class of Europe. We have scales depending with the functioning economy. A middle class in Europe could be somebody who is super rich in Kenya. Middle class in Europe. Because a middle class in Europe ni mtu akona nyumba yake, akona gari yake, he can afford, like, is a guy who can pay mortgage. That's a middle class in Europe, you know. A middle class in Kenya is somebody who is having a job and is comfortable. And the majority of these people have just been dragged to poverty by money which is not enough from the income where they are getting. So, Lucy, we cannot ignore that there is no middle class. And that's why I'm saying this middle class, which has been there, this middle class, which was created by Kibaki, because remember, Kibaki created a middle class. Uhuru somehow sustained it, but Ruto has come to destroy that middle class. So these people from their lower class, they will remember that we were once middle class in Kenyan category. I'm not talking of middle class in European category. We have to be clear about that. Middle class is different. Even middle class in America is different from middle class in Kenya because we are in a different economic model. Prices affect us different way. Affordability of things affect us different way. So, Lucy, so let's put that constant, that the people who have been devastated by Ruto, those people actually will be running, because actually some of this middle class, these people could feed themselves, these people could educate themselves. Few years ago, they could do things. Right now, we have people who have been working and doing their things. Now, they have turned into beggars or doing things which do not satisfy their heart or losing your career. That is where we are now. People have lost their career. And those are the people who they will run to the ballot and tell Ruto, I think for now we have to terminate your contract. So that is why Ruto is having a lot of thinking, and he is really thinking of how he is going to reassemble his electoral machine with an aim of seeing if he can be able to reassemble people again. I don't think if he will be able to manage. I think he has lost the Kikuyu people. Why? The reason why he has lost the Kikuyu people is because of the way of life of how majority of Kikuyu people, they are very good in the informal sector. Kazi za kila siku. Jua Kali, they are there. So if you have a government which is not working on all that sector or improving that sector, definitely people will escape from you. Kikuyus is one of the community which cannot function with a destabilized government because of the things they do. Remember, it's a big population occupying a small land, so majority of them are in this small sector businesses. Duka pale in a small town, Jua Kali, muuzaji wa miarero, muuzaji wa manguo pale kwa town, kuna mwingine anauza ndizi zake pale, there is a hawker. So all form of businesses they are doing, and those businesses they need a credible government, zinahitaji mtu ambaye anafikiria. So Rusi, I wanted us to think in terms of that line of some of these people who have been making money before and they are not making money now. Actually, those are the people who will disapprove Ruto. And Ruto will actually have a lot of issues to try and convince people that he has willingness actually to improve the lifestyle of people. I don't think he has that willingness to improve the life of people. I wish he was, but there was even another time with this statement, I believe, there was a time even when Raila said, I don't know kwa nini alirudi chini. There was a time when Raila said, even if Ruto is given 100 years, he will never change the economy. I agree. Even if you give Bwana William Ruto miaka 100, hataibadilisha Kenya. Now, something interesting, before I discuss to you the interview which Rigiju was having yesterday with the people from Western, something interesting. Are you aware that right now, Bwana Ruto has started doing a policy return to what the previous governments were doing? I'm hearing they have abandoned the new university model. They have returned to the old university model. What does that one tell you? After they have been cheating us that the model will work, after they have been telling us that things will improve, they have been forced to retain the status quo. Another thing which I know Mr. Ruto will do an overturn is the she and sha. She and sha will never, and remember they have spent already 104 billion to work on the she and sha, and it is still not working. They are pretending that it is working and it is not. So that's another place they will be forced to return to the old NHIF, because this thing they have coupled it with corruption and other bad things in it. So that's also another thing. They will do a policy overturn. So you can see, and to understand how Ruto is doing policy overturn is how he has been trying to look for some of the people who are key people in the previous administration. Ile serikali imepita, sasa anajaribu kutafuta wale watu walikuwa wanafanya kazi katika sekta mbalimbali. Hao ni wale watu wanataka kupea kazi. But remember, this person is not trying to show any willingness to improve the economy. This person is not trying to show any willingness to stop corruption. This person is not trying to show any willingness of misappropriation of finances. That is the problem we have. They are still wasting money. They are still living lavish life, which is not helpful. So how do you want the government to improve and you are busy wasting money? So many trips, allocating like Odinga billions of dollars. Every time going, you are to Egypt, you are to where? Showcasing zero. And there's no any serious money which is being spent in projects. It's an issue. It's an issue as a government. So they are not spending money in projects. And it is really becoming something which people have to now ask themselves, are this type of the government which we can trust our life with? It's a shame. Wacha nione vile Rusi ameniambia. I believe there is a very few people in the middle class, the majority are in the lower class. Yes, I think that one I've done an explanation of why still middle class, even if they have become lower class, they still have a say. I wish if the young people could get voting cards and willing to vote. I was there since the colonial era, and it's very painful to go through what we underwent during the Moi era. Yeah, it's unfortunate to see there is a recreation. Sijui kama hata mmeona kuna mtu mwingine ameandika article, although I don't want to discuss that. Now sasa hata kuna narratives zingine zimeanzia kutokezea. Like kuna mtu nimeona ameandika article anasema inakaa ni kama it is better to be ruled by Kikuyus. There is an article which was running like now people are now saying inakaa ni kama hata kama Wakikuyu ile wakati wanatuongoza ni kama akunanga zile mashida tunakuanga nazo, because hizi mashida za Ruto they are a man issue. Hizi mashida, let me tell you, hizi mashida zote mnaona tuko nazo, if Ruto is not in power you'll not see all those things. Hizi mashida zote ni sababu Ruto ndiye ako pale, and it's so unfortunate that and it's not issues of debt or issues of lack of money. It's simply the guy doesn't have an idea of how to run a civilized government. That is the unfortunate part. So don't think that if Ruto is given people or what, things will change. You know, now he is even having ODM in the government. He is even having a portion of people who worked for Uhuru in his government, but things are not working. Things are not working, and they will never work. Why? Because they have abandoned common sense. What is common sense? The rule of money: don't steal, be prudent. That is the rule of money. Global revenue. What does it do? And use smart people in critical areas. What are they doing? Sudi is the principal consultant of the presidency, as somebody who does nothing. We have another one called Farouk Kibet. ambaye nilisikia ni class 6 dropout, and sorry for that. Those are the people who are running the show. So the leader is as good as the people who are close to him. That is what we say. The people who surround you can actually tell us where you are pointing to. The pointers, it can give us the pointers. So if you look at the people who are surrounding Ruto, we can see the pointers where we are pointing to. So if I look at William Ruto team, I see people pointing to their base, to hell. I see people who have no willingness to change Kenya. Yeah. So there is also another report which has come out, and it is so unfortunate. Sijui kama wale ambao munaonanga ni Gravitas. How many people of you see Gravitas? Now there was a leak of financial influences in Kenya. Na kwa kusema ukweli, we need radical change in Kenya. That financial leak in Kenya has shown ya kwamba everything in Kenya is majorly being owned by Ruto or Kenyatta. Like those people are owning many, many companies. For instance, Rachel Ruto is having a tons of companies he is owning. It was in Gravitas. Give me a minute. I bring my phone. I show you that story. Yeah, there is a story here of leaks from Gravitas. I don't want to use my computer. Let me just play it from the phone. But let's see if is a shaming. Is a shaming. Let me see if I can see the history. Let's see if we can see history. It's a shaming, frankly speaking. Kwani nimepoteza? Let me show you. It's a shaming. Nataka kuonesha hiyo story. Good. There was a cyber attack in Kenya. Yeah, nataka kuonesha vile hawa watu wametuibia. I want to show you how these people have stolen from us.
Calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Now, as the minimum for the first to say a special edition of. It is one of the. And our last story is from Kenya, where a major cyber attack has exposed President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta family business dealings. Now, the attack targeted Kenya's Business Registration Services, or the BRS. It is one of the most data-rich organizations in the Kenyan government. The organization holds data on all registered companies, their registered owners, beneficial owners, and directors. That's the data that many would like to keep private. But the cyber attack has now left the information of many private companies in the hands of the public. Now, it has leaked companies' names, directors, and shareholders' details, and also business owners' IDs, phone and house details. It has also exposed the extensive business affiliations of several prominent figures in Kenya, including President William Ruto and his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, the breach has particularly spotlighted First Lady Rachel Ruto, whose name has been linked to various businesses across multiple sectors. Reports indicate that she, along with her son, have connections to several companies. Her daughter is also identified as the owner of one of Kenya's most luxurious Airbnb properties. Then the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta's business dealings were also among the exposed data. While the Uhuru Kenyatta Foundation and the Uhuru Kenyatta Institute Limited are well documented, the records also listed Uhuru Kenyatta Security and Cleaning Services, a company registered in South Africa, which his brother is found to hold directorial and shareholder roles in over 50 organizations. The data breach has also exposed foreign ownership in Kenyan firms. For example, the Nairobi Expressway Company is found to be owned by a firm based in the UAE. The breach, which appears to have compromised a significant amount of sensitive data, has sparked panic among industry experts and the public. It is not yet clear who is behind the cyber attack or the total amount of data stolen. Reports say authorities have ruled out ransomware, where attackers demand payment for the stolen data before it can be restored. There are confirmed reports that the data is being sold on the dark web, and some are also calling it an insider job. The leak has also reignited discussions on Kenya's data protection laws and the effectiveness of its cybersecurity infrastructure. Kenya has witnessed an alarming surge in cyber attacks, with staggering 860 million incidents recorded in the past year. Now, as per the Communications Authority of Kenya, the country lost approximately $83 million to cybercrimes in 2023, even detecting over 1.1 billion threats between April and June of 2024. Now that the attacks are posing risk to even the president and his family, it is to be seen if it will force quicker action to counter the threats.
Yes, mambo ndio hayo. So the leak has shown that Kenya is owned by purely Ruto and Uhuru. So it's unfortunate that many of the companies still belong to them. I think this combination of these two people was one of the worst undoing in Kenya. Sababu ni kama ni kila mtu alikuwa tu anajipanga kivyake. Anyway, we will be launching a new political party through the ambassadorship of Wamunyoro. I have heard that on Sunday we will be launching a new political party. Although pia ni kama nimeanzia kuona vitu zimeanzia kuja. Gazeti ya leo, I was listening to Komuramura magazeti in Enoro, and I heard that Waititu ni kama anarudi kwa KK, ati kuna chama Waititu wako naye anarudi kwa KK. Ndio sasa nikaanzia kushindwa, huyu Waititu si nimekuwa nikimuona kwa mikutano yetu. But anyway, let's wait for that bravado which will be happening in Wamunyoro on Sunday, or wherever. They said that they will be addressing all the media. Now that Wamunyoro has become the headquarters of our revolution for now, hoping that Rigiji will be able to bring forces of goodwill which will actually assemble so that we can exterminate Mr. Ruto contract. And we have to, by the way. We cannot afford Ruto for another foreseeable future. Tupende tusipende. Everybody should have an issue with Ruto. Na lazima Ruto tumung'oe hapo. We cannot just take it as business as usual. Let me see what Costa is saying. Lucy, Ruto cannot listen, so let's not even waste our time. Kikuyus have over 8 million, Luya 6 million. Wameanzia kudanganya na Waluya ndio wengi, kama umesikiliza story. So we can make Ruto one term. I agree. Kikuyus, so and then some causes like think that Kikuyus are a bit patriotic. I hope they can do it. Wakikuyu tafadhali, we need to assemble and we tukomesha hii mambo ya Ruto for once at least. Tushikane tujue ya kwamba we need to rescue our nations. Tupendane tujue ya kwamba we cannot split our votes even one. We have an issue with the Ruto. Najua Wakikuyu wengi sana walimpigia kura, and whatever they are getting from Ruto is not what they were expecting. In fact, zile kura ambazo hazikutokezea 2022 lazima zitokezee hii wakati. Kikuyus is the true definition of fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, I hope Kikuyus will be able to. I wanted to give you a theory which I've heard serious researchers saying. I was talking with a very serious researcher. Maybe mnaweza niambia hii theory mnaionaje. That researcher was telling me that the reason why Mr. Ruto does not want to lose Kikuyu votes in lump sum is because huyo mtu alikuwa anatumia a big dot and a small dot. A big dot and a small dot. So that person was telling me the tendency of a small dot going to the bigger dot is usually very easy. Even in a fluid medium, ile wakati matone ama mawe inashikana, tule tudogo ndito tunaendaga kujishikilia kwa zile kubwa. So that person was telling me that the secret code for ousting Ruto is Kikuyus to be a block. As long as Kikuyus are a block, others will go to them. He was telling me that is the code. The code for 2027 ni hiyo. Wakikuyu wakue pamoja. Even Luyas will go there. Because he was telling me that there is something which we call the power of association. Na watu hawatakangi kukaa ile pahali watu hawaendi. And it will now be evident that sasa kura za Ruto zimeenda chini. And that person was telling me that if Kikuyus become a serious block, even in Luo's association with Ruto is not assured. So he was telling me the block is one, but alikuwa ananiambia again, the second term ya Ruto, if it is going to be there, of which although mimi nasema haitakuwa, Wakikuyu tu akigawanyika. Wakikuyu akigawanyika ni hivyo. It's that simple. So he was telling me Kikuyu's unity, and Ruto knows, by the way. I'm just trying to decode it now for you. And Ruto knows. So Ruto knows the only way in which he can get a second term ni Wakikuyu watapakaya. Wakikuyu wakitapakaa ni hivyo. He knows sasa hiyo mchezo ashamaliza. Lakini he was even telling me actually even Ruto can even refuse to vie a second term if he sees that he is not able to split Kikuyu votes, because they will do everything humanly possible kugawa kura ya Wakikuyu ama kugawa kura ya Mlima Kenya, sababu Ruto anajua ya kwamba hiyo kura ya Mlima Kenya ikigawiwa he has survived. So that is the code. So the code of winning, Mount Kenya has to be united. The code of losing, Mount Kenya has to remain segregated. So it is that simple. And it's unfortunate that Wakikuyu na watu wa Mlima Kenya, for once, please, na waomba kwa heshima, let's be together and we finish this job. Others will join us. Lakini the moment people will discover that we cannot unite, and I believe we can unite, sisi ndio tumeshika funguo ya State House hivi. Sisi. Whether we will have a candidate or not, because again, we will also have to do big compromises. So sio lazima ati tushikane na wengine, sababu pia we will have to do bigger. We just need to know that the date of our destiny is to remove Ruto. Ama tunataka kutoa Ruto. So as long as tunataka kutoa Ruto, lazima Wakikuyu washikane. That is the code, na hakuna kitu ingine. Kikuyus, Embu and Merus, itabidi mushikane. Ile kushikana mbaya ile. So let's look the way. Then from there, as tunashikana, we focus on now bringing serious people to power. Tuchague MPs wazuri wale, and then pia ile timu ambayo itaenda itengeneze serikali, we hope that they will now bring technocrats to become ministers and assistant ministers, so that now they can now be able to put us on a path of transformation. So watu wa Mlima, you have no option. You have no option. You have to be together. That is the only thing which will finish Ruto. And Ruto knows. Na ndio unaona karibu sana RWK. Na ndio unaona Ruto anafanya kazi usiku na mchana agawe Mlima. Mlima ukigawanyika, you can kiss 2027 goodbye. It's that simple. Mlima ukienda barabara mbili ama barabara tatu, we can kiss 2027 goodbye. It's that simple. And Mlima ukienda ukiwa kitu moja, Ruto can kiss goodbye at the State House. In fact, he will not vie, because he will be starting from back. So I wish people from Mount Kenya can know the stakes of this election. And for once, tushikane mbaya sana na tuseme sasa we have an issue with the Ruto. The other things we can sort out later, but we cannot afford another 5 years of what I'm saying. So what will happen huko mbele, at least with a president who can listen na vitu zingine, at least a president who is a little bit with better qualities than huyu tuko naye, vitu zingine tunaweza solve. We can solve. But right now, we cannot afford. We cannot afford. And I say it again, we cannot afford to be disunited. We are just welcoming another 5 years of calamity. Najua saa zingine mtu anasikia vibaya kuhusu iko au amekula sana sijui nini, hawa watatupendi. This is not time to do that. This is time for people to unite without even thinking. Unity without thinking. Yeah. Simply because there is an enemy beckoning. Umesikia hiyo kitu RWK, umesikia ile kushikana bila hata kufikiria. Saa hii sasa Kikuyu don't listen. Don't think. Tafuta Mkikuyu mwenzako shikana. Tafuta Mwembu mwenzako shikana. We have to unite without thinking. Na bila kuulizana maswali ni nini kiko mbele. After tumeshikana sasa and we are one unit. Na we have formed a coalition which will detonate Ruto. After tumetoa Ruto, now we can speak. Tunaweza anzia sasa kusemezana. Let's do this. But right now, hii si wakati hata ya kusema sasa mimi nitakuwa hii, mimi nitakuwa hii. Hapana. Sasa hii ni kushikana without thinking. There is nothing else. It cannot be other. Sasa hii tu ni wewe tu ukisikia tu Wakikuyu wanaenda hii barabara, hata wewe uko huko. Ukisikia Waembu wanaenda hii barabara, hata wewe uko huko. Hata ufikiri, don't think. We will have to behave the way unaendanga pahali unakuta watu wanakimbia na wanaenda hivi, hata wewe unaenda hiyo pande watu wanakimbia. Unaenda kuulizia mbele ni nini watu walikuwa wanakimbia. That has to be our moral. Lakini ati hakuna vile ati tunaanza kuuliza sijui nini, hata sijui nini, anga sijui Wakikuyu Waembu sijui nini, sijui watu wa Mlima wameongoza. Sasa sio wakati wa maswali. Sasa ni wakati wa kuuliza watu wanashikania wapi, wewe uko huko. We cannot afford to vote differently. Otherwise, we also risk to be exterminated. Hao watu wamepanga mbaya sana. Ni vile I know some of the things hao watu wanapanga. Hao watu, let me tell you, phase 2 will be worse than what you are seeing now. Bado Ruto hajaumiza watu, bado. So it's simple. We have to unite without thinking. I want to say, for once, even during Mau Mau, because nimeongea na wazee walikuanga kwa Mau Mau. Kwa Mau Mau, I was hearing people were going to the bushes without asking maswali. Yeah? They used to use the word onanie. Onanie di mwenoshio. Onanie niko huko. Wananie. That was a word. Watu wako wakati wanaambiwa tingia kwa msitu. And at that time, when you are going to the forest, you don't know whether you'll come out of there alive. Haya. We cannot agree to be disconnected. Why? Because we are being ruled by people who are not patriotic. People who do not love Kenya are the ones who are ruling us now. Watu ambao tu wao ndio wanajitakia makubwa peke yao. And for their children and all the other people wanawatakia maovu na kifo. So how do we function with the people who do not love their country? They don't love. When somebody is engaging in corruption, he doesn't love his country. When somebody is not interested, is not interested to know what common mwananchi is going through, we cannot reason with those people. Hata Ruto akuje kuomba msamaha, we should not listen to him. Sasa nimesikia juzi huyu anaitwa Didmas Baraza. Ati Didmas Baraza anasema wataendea Gachagua. Good luck to them. But nataka pia kuonya Gachagua, ukirudi kwa Ruto, wewe tu unajua tu unaenda peke yako. It's that simple. And I know you are clever than that. Watu washamalizana na Ruto. I don't think there is any remnant for Ruto anywhere. Maybe if you're in this program and you support Ruto, maybe I think I can see 19 people are watching. If you're in this program and you support Ruto, you can write here. At least we can do that as a survey. Please, if you support Ruto, say, here I am. If you want Ruto to win 2027, just write for us. So that is the issue. So number one, kama Gachagua anataka, the reason why Gachagua ako na nguvu sahi, it is because anapiga Ruto. It's not that because he is a good man. I want people, because fighting Ruto at the moment is a premium. I want people to understand that. See, ati Gachagua is the best of the best in life. No, it's because fighting Ruto is a premium. It has a reward. Any person, hata nyinyi mnanisikiliza sababu napigana na Ruto, it is having a reward. Fighting Ruto is having a reward. That is how serious people are. Why are you glued here? Na mniambi kwani huyu jamani mwenda wazimu? If I did the same program kama hii 2022, sasa hivi watu hata wangekuwa wanafanya a lot of attacks here. So, and that is what I want Gachagua to understand. Gachagua needs to understand that the reason why Kikuyus and the people from Mlima Kenya are listening to him is not because he is a good man. No. He has ever been in the government some other time. He has never proved himself inside the government. But now he has gotten an opportunity to prove himself. So the reason why people are listening to Gachagua is because he is fighting Ruto. Na hakuna mtu anataka Ruto. So it's a premium. We call it premium. Getting a leverage. Tunaitanga leverage, in other words. Leverage is getting a reward because you have positioned yourself. Even in computer tunakuanga na hiyo. There is action. Maybe wale mtapata neema ya kufanya AI. There is something we are calling reinforcement learning. Wacha niwaambie hiyo kitu. Reinforcement learning, you work with so the way the program does, so that to make a decision, because unataka program you make a decision. Unataka kutoa binadamu, you want the program to make. There's a reason why I'm explaining this thing. So this is what you do. So you tell for every choice you have attached a reward. For every choice there is a reward. So a choice which is more superior has a bigger reward. So kwa hivyo program ikichagua hiyo, so alafu sasa inakufanyia sasa combination hizo rewards, then the combination of the highest reward, sasa now that one is now the possible path for that choice. So inachukua hiyo choice alafu inaenda inatengeneza kwa algorithm. So in other words, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is the reason why Gachagua is where he is because he chose the best path, and the best path in the interim was to fight Ruto. So as he was fighting Ruto, his bonga points were rising. His bonga points were rising. His bonga points were rising. So Gachagua should not think that he is the man of the moment. Now that he cannot, hata akirudi kwa Ruto tutarudi na yeye. It doesn't work that way. Fighting Ruto has a premium. Yes, has a premium. Any person who is fighting Ruto is worth listening. Ama anasikilizwa. Hata ukienda, even these days, hata ukienda town uanzie kuattack Ruto, people are assembling. Watu wanakuja hapo kusikiliza. Na mtu anaongea vizuri. That's how people are speaking. Kwani mtu anaongea? Kwani mtu anajua? No, it is because fighting Ruto is becoming is an appetite. It's an appetite. Maybe hata unaweza kuwa uongee vitu mingi, unasema tu huyu mtu ni mbaya, ameharibu serikali. Unaona, this guy is talking. This guy, so that's how it is. Angalia hata siku hizi hata kwa makanisa. In Embu town, over the weekend, maybe niwape hii example. Lucy Kenya juu. In Embu town kuna father anaitwa Keremi. Mimi nakubaliana na Njiru, saizi ni saa za watu kushikana kung'oa Ruto. Huyu Ruto sio mtu wa kubadilika, na akiendelea kuongoza Kenya itakuwa mbaya sana kuliko sasa. Of course, Kenya will be devastated. Kenya will be devastated. There is no hope in Kenya. Nisikudanganye. Things are bad. Poverty everywhere. Isipokuwa tu ni vile tu we have a very big rural community. Na matown si kubwa. If Kenya was like other counties which are highly urbanized, sasa watu wangekuwa nalia. Hata sasa Ruto angekuwa ameng'olewa. So at least Ruto wako high because of the rural economy. The slight rural economy. Watu wanakula ngwashe mihogo na huko kwa kijiji, watu wako huko Lake Victoria wanafua, wanatoa samaki kwa maji. So some of them hata wamekula samaki na huko, so they don't think that kuna vitu zinaendelea Kenya. Wengine wako huko Lake Turkana wanavua huko. Wengine wako huko Ngariama, ni mahindi wanapanda, na wengine wanatoa mihogo kwa shamba. That is what is still holding the country. But ikifika, go to schools, you meet parents, those who are paying school fees. Paying school fees is now becoming a problem, especially wale wanafunza private. Those who could afford private school, it's no longer easy now to even afford 10,000 to pay school fees for your kid, especially for those parents who have multiple kids in schools. It's not easy. Those are things which are happening. Sahi. And the government takes it as usual. We cannot take it. Wacha nilikuwa nawapea example ya, na by the way, asante sana for those people who encourage me. Sijui kama light yangu mnaiona vizuri. Unajua ni mtu analinganga kidogo. I acquired a light here which is illuminating my video. So I have a serious light here. So kuna watu wali complain that my videos are a bit dark. So I don't know if my light is working well ama niende ninunue ingine. So I have a light which is illuminating my video. I hope it will give us a good light. Some people complained that my light was not good, so I decided to add. Penny Nyagaka, karibu sana, naona unaandika. Yeah, we can't just we can't just be partisan. Na Penny Nyagaka, we are waiting for Kisii to team up with us. Nilisikia you are positive with the people from Mlima. Mlima sisi hatukurangi matapika. Yeah, the Mlima people I know, I don't think wanarudianga matapishi. The Mlima people I know, I know they have resolved. They have resolved. I don't think Ruto will be supported. And let me tell you, na nitarudia tena hapa Penny, for those people who are joining. As your right is more than Musangarire Murimu. Yeah. So I decided to improve my writing a little bit, just to make things better. Na wale watu wajaweza kuniona vizuri waweza kuniona sasa. At least now you can now be knowing the person who does the podcast anakaa namna gani. Yes. Ni Dimlam. Sijui mnasema Dimlam. Jamaa anataja Kadagere is somewhere huko Embu Nyenje. Gachagua is not the best, but he is doing what others are afraid of, period. Yeah, Lucy, I agree with you on that. So nilikuwa nataka kuwapea, there is a father from Embu anaitwa Father Francis Keremi. He has castigated watu wa bodaboda sababu Kindiki alikuwa amepelekwa Embu kukutana na watu wa pikipiki. Sijui kama mlisikia mkutano ya Waembu, walikuwa wameitwa wengi sana, wakapewa kila mtu ngiri moja moja na wakaekewa mafuta ya pikipiki, and they were there. I think they were being mobilized for Kindiki. So ni sawa walienda, but I don't think those people are serious with Mbarire and Kindiki. I don't think Kindiki can be able to command what it takes to become an influential person in Mount Kenya. I don't think watu walienda wakakula pesa because serikali ilikuwa imeamua hivyo. Instead of taking money where it is needed, waliamua pesa ikakulwa na watu. That money could be taken to education or to serious places. They refused, and they decided to use it for political expediencies. And it is so unfortunate that we have reached that level. So expect more. So Lucy, expect more devastation in Kenya now that even international agencies don't know what to do, because even there is a lot of there's a lot of uncertainties even with the new administration in America. So before they settle, vitu mingi sana hazitakuwa sawa. So unless you have a thinking president now, it doesn't mean that anyway, tuendelee vizuri. I hope tunaendelea vizuri. So sijui kama kuna mtu akona jambo la kutuambia, because we need to discuss this issue. So hiyo chama ya Gachagua hiyo tunatangaza Sunday. I think People Liberation Party, nasikia fununu hivyo ndivyo chama yetu itakuwa inaitwa, People Liberation Party. People Liberation Party. I hope it will be good. Anyway, Mungu atubariki. Najaribu kutafuta nione kama there is some. I'm also hearing that Donald Trump has withdrawn US from some of the UN agencies. So that's why I think maybe they are trying to respond. I think America is trying to see where they can influence China. Although I'm hearing many people saying that it is difficult to bring China down now. It's not easy. Ni kama China imepata footprint kwa dunia, so hata ukijaribu kuwasimamisha tu, it's a path to futility. I hope they can compete as equal partners instead of scarce. Anyway, forget about that. So Gachagua, let's see how he is going to assemble. I think that Gachagua will be the engineer of the coalition. I don't know what he will be seeking, but I think Gachagua will be the engineer. Gachagua will be the engineer wa hii coalition yetu. and it will be good. I think Gachagua is has claimed he will be selfless as much as possible, and tutatengeneza coalition mzuri, coalition ya upendo, alafu all people of all walks of life, color, creed, race, community, tushikane sisi wote. Hiyo chama tunaenda kutengeneza, it has to include everybody, hata wazungu waingie, wahindi waingie, waafrika wakuwe ndani, and all our communities, because our aim is one. We have to stop this man. I think enough is enough, and I think Ruto should also be ashamed of himself if he is not willing to get out of power after this 2 years devastation. These are not teething problems. Governments take off. Yeah, so government do not wobble. Once you take power, the government has to take off, because once you get power, you have an opportunity of policy change or policy contraction or policy expansion. So once you get power, you need to first of all stand and know what is working. What is working, you maintain and take it further. What is not working, you replace. What is midway working, you stay with it. That's how it works. So hiyo haishtuangi wengi. So I think I'm glad to have been here and to discuss that analogy. I really wanted to discuss that analogy of how 2027 politics is shaping up. So it's an issue. It will not even be a referendum. I don't want to call it a referendum against Ruto. It will be beyond a referendum, because you only do a referendum on a place where you can ask a question. So the issue of 2027 is an issue of somebody who has taken people to devastation. And there's no way in which Kenyans can choose devastation. So 2027 is not a choice. 2027 is an issue of extermination. Let me say it again. 2027 election is an issue of extermination, finishing the rule of somebody and forgetting him and taking him into the pit of oblivion. That is what 2027 will turn to be. So 2027 cannot exist as a comparison of individuals. So even when our coalition will come, we will not be doing contra comparison with Ruto. Our campaign will be simple: saving Kenya. And I think even our motto should be save Kenya. Thank you. So mimi hiyo ndivyo nafikiria motto yetu itakuwa save Kenya. Saidia Kenya, saidia Kenya. Kenya inahitaji msaada. Kenya is bleeding. Kenya is bleeding. It's not a joke. Kenya is bleeding. Kenyan's young people are being denied voting cards, but non-Kenyans, e.g. Somalis, are given voting cards. Free, not paying. No, but I think now some of these things Gachagua should now start bringing them to the public space. Gachagua nafikiria yeye ndiye is our mouthpiece. So Gachagua, I think this information should be given to Gachagua. Sasa Gachagua apulize filimbi, thinking that Ruto demands, and this we must reject. Ubuntu, is Gachagua aware of this? Because sijasikia Gachagua akisema hii, anasema tu watu wachukue vipande. Aya, message imekuja. I hope it is true. I think this one I would support. This one I would support. This one I would support. US freezes funding for Kenya Land Security Mission in Haiti. That one I would welcome. Meri wanaina karibu sana. Ni kama ile ka project ya Haiti imekunywiswa maji. Meri wanaina karibu, ni kama bwana Donald Trump amesema haitaki tena. Donald Trump hiyo. Yes, Mary karibu sana. Kesho nitawapea link. Leo tu allow me to speak because I was trying to explain how 2027 is morphing. Unajua the race for 2027 is morphing, and it's not a choice. So Mary Wainaina, it is not a referendum. You cannot have a referendum on somebody who is doing nothing. So Mr. William Ruto cannot be a choice. So 2027 is an election of extermination. Kung'oa. Lazima tung'oe. That is how 2027 is turning to be. So we cannot be telling people that in 2027 we are going to choose between this and Ruto. That one cannot be an election of that nature. Ati 2027 tunaenda kuchagua Ruto na mtu mwingine. Hakuna. Ruto tushamalizana na yeye. 2027 tunaenda kuchagua yule anasimama na Ruto. I don't know if that one is sounding sweeter. 2027 tunaenda kuchagua yule atakuwa anapingana na Ruto. Is that simple? So it's not a choice. So 2027 yule mtu ambaye atakuwa anapinga Ruto ndiye tunaenda kuchagua, because we know he will be a good candidate. At least kwanza atutoe kwa hii shida tuko nayo saa hii. So 2027 is not an election of choice. We are not having a comparison here. We will be going to vote the guy who will be standing against Ruto. Kwanza tumuingize, tutamuuliza maswali baadaye. Kasongo ataona na mdomo kwa Haiti. So, and I was also hearing that things were not very good for the soldiers. So without money, I don't think Kenya can finance that money, that thing. So they will have to get out. Ndio vizuri hata wasiende kufanya matabia mbaya sana huko. Saa zingine, some policemen mobilize wanaendanga huko wanaanzia kuzaazaa ovyo ovyo. So it's also good we protect Haitian women. Wasianzia kuzaa watoto wa Kenya sana because of that oppression. Yeah, Haiti has to maintain its heritage. So I think Kenya had invaded Haiti. The Rus with talking of some other people. So kama hiyo pesa imetolewa, it's something we can appreciate. Maybe that one we can appreciate. We needed that money out. Anyway, ni sawa, nimeshukuru sana. Mary anasema Kasongo amepromise mabarabara. Anyway, I don't even listen to him. I know that he is getting out. I know he is getting out. That's all what I know. Mimi najua Ruto anaenda. It might seem big, lakini tutamtoa hivi like a free. Tutamtoa kama dhuya. In fact, Ruto said he is going to make sure all Somalis get a digital passport, while Duale was scrapping and laughing. Yet original Kenyans by birth, it's a honor to get that ID. Gachagua has to speak about this. All forces of goodwill, akina Mother Karua, hiyo coalition yetu, as we are forming the political party, we have to address this. We have to address this. The immigration has to be done by partisan. There's no in which immigration will be working for one man. So we need formulas to streamline this. Wale watu either tuseme for you to become a citizen, lazima ulikuwa umewasili Kenya for the last 3 years. There's no way in which unatoka Somalia unakuja umepewa citizenship direct. Unless if our country has become banana republic. They must hold people. Yes, Mirwanaina, kuamuka lazima tutaamuka, and we will do it now. We actually, hata hatutaamuka, Meli 2027 hatuamuki, 2027 ni kulala. We will be sleeping in the polling station. That will be the rallying call. Tunaenda kulala polling station waiting kumung'oa. It's that simple. Tunalala huko, tunalala huko ili tumtoe. I think that one will be a good clarion call. Mimi sina la ziada, nitamalizia hapo. Let's meet tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I will manage to have a podcast a little bit earlier. Naona Mary anafurahia. Yes, we will, tutalala kwa polling station, we will sleep there. So the song will change from tugokera tene to tugakoma kuu tumurute. Tugokera tene tuthie tugathure Ruto. Sasa wimbo inabadilika hivi, inakuwa tugakoma kuu tuthie tukarute Ruto. The song has to change that way. Na naweza kuwa choir master tugakoma kuu tukarute Ruto. I hope kuna mtu anaelewa hizo lugha hiyo, kuna mtu anaelewa hiyo lugha ya Kiisraeli. Tugakoma kuu si yule whoever akona namba ya Bete, the woman rep of Murang'a, mumwambie nimetoa wimbo. In fact hata mnafaa kuconnect Riginji aki-launch hiyo chama yake. It is the other way around. Yes, tutalala huko tukamung'oe. That will be our clarion song. So 2027, no, 2022 ilikuwa tugokera tene. Now 2027, the clarion call is opposite. Tugakoma kuu tukarute Ruto. It's that simple. There is no two ways. And any person who loves good life, you have to be happy voting Ruto out. Any person who loves good life, you have to be happy uko unaenda kupiga kura ya kumung'oa. It will be one of the most enjoyable moment in Kenya. Kuchukua ballot na unapiga jini ya mtu mwingine other than Ruto. You don't know. I'm waiting for that time. Na Mungu atupe uhai. We witness Ruto not being in power. Hata yajue ya kwamba God can rescue his people. Watu hawezi lilia Mungu hiyo namna and he thinks it's a joke. No. If Pharaoh listened to the voice of God, hata wewe Ruto utasikia. If Pharaoh listened to the voice of God, na akaambia Wanaisraeli endeni sasa, hata wewe utasikia. You cannot mistreat the children of God in the name of ati nilichaguliwa. Nitaongoza mupende musipende. If Pharaoh listened, hata utasikia. Nitaenda nyumbani kusherehekea na watu wetu. No, we have to. So wacha niwaimbie nikitoka. Tugakoma kuu. So that one will be our song moving forward. Tutakuwa tunaanzia channel hivyo. Mary, tayarisha kesho kuja tuimbie. So somebody can extend it even further. So mimi nimetoa tu the first statement, but somebody can build it up. Tugakoma kuu. Tukarute Ruto. Tukamurute. Adie sugoi. Sababu huko ndiko anyway, sijui kama ni sugoi ama ni Kamiti. Because there's no in which we have never had a destructive president than this one. This one cannot just go to Sugoi. This is not politics, but Mlima are the chosen ones. Mungu atatusaidia. Hata nasikianga wazee wakisema hakunanga shida ya miaka, hakuna shida ya mwaka. Somewhere along the line watu wanapona na watu ya Mungu watapona. Shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom.